It's a new year and it's 2026, and I'd like to pay this tribute to Dr. Ricky Gerthammer. Thank you so much for your legacy, for awakening truth, restoring hope, and guiding healing in the very fabric of humanity. With heartfelt gratitude for your courage and genius in revealing the 5 biological laws of nature, it really truly is an honor to be here with the global GHK community as we celebrate Dr. Hammer's legacy and the greatest discovery in history. Germanic Healing Knowledge. I'm Abela from the Philippines, and today I'm here to share what I've gleaned from my work over the last 4 years using GHK as the main framework and then expanding to other scientific realms that involve the way human beings have evolved. Just a quick disclaimer, the information given in this presentation is for educational purposes only. Participants shall consult their medical doctors for health reasons before using anything that is disclosed during the course of this presentation. Students shall not use any of the different information given in this presentation while writing their examinations. These cases were formulated with our best possible analysis of symptoms presented at the time of consultation. If you are experiencing severe or life-threatening symptoms, please seek immediate medical attention or go to the nearest emergency room. The information shared here is not a substitute for emergency care. All photos and details are posted with permission. All family information has been given with full consent. Thank you as well, Global GHK, for the privilege of sharing in this sacred celebration. May we honor this work with devotion, integrity, and love for all life everywhere. In 2021, I discovered Germanic Healing Knowledge and everything changed. I dove in headfirst, immersing myself in its teachings and integrating them into every part of my life. GHK quickly became the guiding framework for both my personal healing and professional practice. Living biologically is now my core principle. I began with a GNM practitioner course under Andy Lockmears in 2021, deepened my studies with the Pilhar Academy in 2023 under the Educator course, and the other beautiful courses and master classes offered by Andy, and continue to expand through the Freya Biological Relationships and Biological Communication course with Dr. S., one of the most powerful tools in my healing arsenal, as it has to do with healing relationships. I'm Abela, and I lead the biohacking and Germanic Healing Knowledge movements in the Philippines. These two approaches empower people to reclaim their biology and sovereignty. The upgraded human isn't a future dream. It's already here. My journey began in 2015 with biohacking and mentorship from Dave Asprey. As a certified human potential coach, I use advanced tools to enhance energy, performance, and longevity. Over time, I expanded into trauma therapy, earning certifications in EFT, Psyche, HeartMath, NAET, matrix reimprinting, and more, supporting deeper emotional regulation and nervous system balance. For children with special needs, I integrate the Anak Daniel method, neurooptimal neurofeedback, safe and sound protocol, and NAET to support learning, bonding, and healing from early adversity. The lens to which I work bridges 4 powerful pathways: Germanic Healing Knowledge, GHK, decoding the psyche-brain organ connection through the 5 biological laws of nature, understanding the biology of survival, reflected in sensible biological special programs, or what we call in conventional speak as diseases. Biological relationships through the Freya and the polyvagal theory, understanding the biology and how we are meant to co-regulate by helping each other feel safe. Our most ancient medicine is the safety that we evolved with, and we have the power to help each other heal by knowing the person's biological needs. Trauma therapy, clearing the subconscious imprints and the nervous system patterns that keep us in survival mode, also known as tracks. Many of the DHS or causal triggering events happened in early childhood. And then, of course, we have biohacking, supporting the body, cellular, and energetic systems to create the physiological foundation for vital energy replenishment and wholeness. Revisiting the 5 biological laws of nature, which is at the heart of every healing story. As I share the stories here, both from my own journey, from the lives of my clients, I invite you to reflect on the 5 biological laws of nature that underpin each one. These laws have been our compass, helping us decode symptoms, navigate healing phases, and find clarity in moments of fear or confusion. Whether facing epic crises of deep biological programs, understanding these laws transformed panic into purpose and empowered each step forward. True healing, as these stories show, is not linear, but deeply meaningful when guided by nature's logic. And today I'd like to present this talk known as Relationships Are the New Medicine. GHK reveals disease as meaningful biological responses to not just emotional, but rather psychobiological conflicts, empowering self-knowledge, conflict resolution, and true human evolution. By understanding our biological wiring and releasing fear of illness and death, I believe that we reignite our potential. And today I dare to say one thing. All of humanity's major illnesses are caused in large part to disharmony and disconnection within a relationship or relationships. This photo of Dr. Hammer's family trying to find justice for his son Dirk's accidental death is like a poetic depiction of everything I'd like to convey today in a nutshell. First, this is the way GHK was discovered as a body of work. This was due to the emergence of Dr. Hammer's testicular cancer 3 months after the death of Dirk. And according to Dr. Hammer, Dirk appeared in his dreams and confirmed the truth of the biological laws of nature. Second, evolution directed mammals to survive with strong social bonds, precisely to survive better when a conflict emerges. Here you find the Hammer family coming together in pursuit of justice for their beloved Dirk, a task better accomplished in a group rather than as a solitary warrior. Third, the loss of connection and discord within relationships, especially those with whom we share DNA, can be a grave trigger for many illnesses. As we know, testicular cancer is the body's way of making Dr. Hammer more virile to replace the offspring that he lost and ensure the species survives. Fourth, progeny, having children, is not only meant to extend life through offspring, but also to become allies or stanchions of support during distressful life situations. Of course, we know that parents support children, but when they come of age, the support system becomes bidirectional. Relationships are medicine. We are meant to embrace each other during hard times and offer emotional, intellectual, and even financial support. Dr. Hammer was known to have bestowed 5,000 euros from his own pocket to help out patients or friends who had no money. People need people. Evolution coded us that way. Love is not a feeling, but a biological drive that ensures the survival of all. When we master our relationships, we master our biology. We harness our nature to actualize our fullest potential. Thank you, Dr. Hammer. Let's embrace GHK and evolve together. In my work as a trauma therapist, human potential coach, biohacker, and GHK educator, I have come to realize the importance of social connection in preventing SBSs, or senseful biological special programs, or what we know in conventional speak as disease or illness. And here are some case studies to emphasize my point. In 2023, a mother in her late 70s approached me due to advanced stage breast cancer. Her husband was gravely ill. She found herself always at odds with the children of her first husband and is constantly in competition with the children of her current husband. We were able to buy her a little bit of time by knowing GHK, by removing the fear over death and disease. But her vital life force ran out when new biological conflicts arose from the death of her husband and relationship turmoil with her family and adopted family that ensued. Though her breast cancer was already in a healing phase, this new distressful life event resulted in 2 new deep biological conflicts: stomach cancer and kidney failure. Her relationships were already discordant from a young age, and this carried on to more disconnected relationships in her adult life, though many attempts were made to strengthen the bonds with her children. One of my success stories involved an 8-year-old boy with oppositional defiant disorder, bioaggressive constellation, flying constellation, motor constellation, anger tantrums, vocal and motor tics, bedwetting, and stuttering. Between the ages of 0 and 5 years old, his parents overdisciplined him, instilling fear in his heart took away his territory, thus lowering the hormones that boosted his self-esteem and placed his biology in survival mode. He was made to feel unsafe by the very people who were assigned by nature to protect and nurture him. Broken relationships resulted in biological conflicts that signaled delays in development and the child's inability to self regulate during tantrums or periods of disappointment, distress, and the extreme workload of school. These biological conflicts weighed heavily upon the family and was in danger of tearing them all apart. A man had stage 3 colon cancer, angry at the government for appropriating the land he allocated for farmers, ongoing disputes and arguments, unjust accusations, ugly court cases, and dealing with corrupt and greedy people. The relationship citizens have with a corrupt government is extremely discordant, where there is no trust, compassion for, or belief in their ability to uphold good governance. Instead, this fosters anger, disappointment, and deep resentment that our colon can respond to. A client had lung cancer. Her 55-year-old father died in her arms when she was 28, and since then believed herself to be dying at the same age. The COVID pandemic came and she got an x-ray due to a cough. The doctor told her that she had small cell carcinoma, a death-fright conflict around having COVID that necessitated that x-ray, which worsened because of the death-fright conflict around this new diagnosis. Estranged from the family whom she felt just wanted her money, they hardly visited her while she was sick. He developed pneumonia. Her friends told her that she had bad karma and should repent through juicing. And at the end of 8 months, she was skin and bones. Cancer started decades before when her father left her family and imposed a great fear upon a young woman. She became quite a successful businesswoman and left her family due to disagreements and disconnection with her mother and siblings. In the end, she passed away at 49, 6 years earlier than her father's age of death. A 21-year-old young woman self-harms and has long bouts of depression, locking herself in her room, not speaking for days, and is utterly unsociable in school. She is a left-handed female raised by an abusive relative who screamed at her, hit her, and made her feel stupid and not good enough. Her parents were away, trying to build a business in another location, and had to leave the rearing of children with a woman who had no children. As a young toddler, she had no agency to defend herself. She had anger, but it would only relieve when she returned it into herself, cutting and slicing into her own skin. In high school, she was bullied for being different. College, thankfully, was much better as there are better students, more mature, and better teachers who are more conscious. Though, once in a while, when her identity conflict is triggered and she doesn't get her way, she uses self-harming as a way to get what she wants. She is doing much better now since we balanced all the relationships between her parents, herself and her mom, herself and her dad, and herself and her older sibling. There is much more room to breathe now. A young 7-year-old boy was brought to me. He has been diagnosed with slight autism and ADHD since he was 5 years old. He's nonverbal and has slow muscle tone. Parents are always fighting in front of the child from birth, and it's come to the point where the child tries to be the one to break up the fights. There were also fights during the mother's pregnancy, which resulted in slight developmental deficits, low muscle tone, and being nonverbal. We have prescribed relationship balancing between the parents as it is crucial for him to catch up with the neurobiological stages to ride the chronological stages of maturity. Here's a case that rocked the Philippines and opened the minds of people about the correlation between adverse childhood experiences, discordant unsafe relationships, the absence of parents, and mental illness. A 19-year-old influencer shocked the internet globally when news of her suicide came through. The days that followed brought many interviews she did in the past about her mental illness and also videos of her parents who talked about their struggles with her condition. Upon investigation of all the facts laid out from all these media resources, It showed that she had several constellations, notably postmortal constellation, biodepressive constellation, and manic flying constellation. Her relationships were discordant, abusive, and utterly unsafe since she was 3 years old. Her parents were busy and left her to an abusive nanny. She experienced constant verbal and physical abuse by her nanny, who made her watch porn as a young girl. In high school, she was bullied by classmates, humiliated by a guy she liked, who sent private photos of her to 50 other guys in a group chat. She was date raped, rejected, and cheated on by her boyfriends. And the last straw, she was a victim of extreme cyberbullying on social media that made her upset and want to end her life. And she was also on medication for depression. Due to her constellations, it wasn't a surprise that she committed suicide by hanging. In the US, mental health issues cost $200 to $300 billion, including outpatient services. And every year, there are 700,000 suicides around the world that deeply impact families and communities. Through Germanic Healing Knowledge, we know that suicide is part of the postmortal constellation, likely triggered from adverse early childhood experiences involving relationships of parents with each other and the low quality of early caregiving to the child. It is during the first 6 years of a child's life, including its life in utero, that determines its mental health capacity as it grows into an adult. According to the WHO, there are nearly 10 million cancer deaths globally in 2020. A lot of it is also due to the toxic chemicals in conventional medical treatment that aim to kill the monster cancer. But this is something that we would want to reconsider, as cancer is not a lack of toxic chemical problem, but rather the lack of solid, supportive social bonds and relationships. And this slide tells me that worldwide relationships are disconnected, discordant, and highly toxic, resulting in a global health crisis that the medical paradigm is completely missing. Relationships are always the last place they look at to help heal the patients, even in cases of addiction and alcoholism. To understand mental illness, cancer, and other chronic diseases, and why relationships play a major role in our overall health, we need to understand how our nervous system evolved. Survival has always been the name of the game, and evolution has allowed mammals, like human beings, to develop highly advanced threat detection systems that signal biological mechanisms to increase the chances of survival. And this method has worked over billions of years, bringing us to where we are today, as advanced as we can be. Yet, we have not conquered disease because we fail to understand that relationships are our medicine. As you can see on this slide, the polyvagal theory is neatly summarized into this autonomic ladder by Deb Dana. It helps us understand the different ways we respond to our environment. If our environment is not safe, we respond either through fight or flight, or if we are faced with a life-threatening situation, we shut down and play dead. We want to reach safety, but it is fear-driven. At the top of the ladder is the ultimate way to feel safe, called our social engagement system. When we feel socially connected, we feel safe to face the world, and we enjoy the company of others who also enjoy our company. This is how we not just survive, but thrive together and not alone. I often like to say that our SBSs or our illnesses trigger in a fear-driven state, fight or flight or shut down, and that social connection or social engagement is the ultimate medicine to bring us back to safety or prevent the SBS altogether. Forests remind me so much of how we're meant to live, deeply connected, always looking out for each other. Think about the trees. When one gets attacked, it sends out warnings through the roots, shares nutrients with those in need, even calls in help. No tree survives alone. It's all one big living network underground. For most of human history, that's how we live too. Like Darshan Narvaez talks about in her evolved nest idea, we grow up in tight-knit communities, surrounded by family, touch, shared care, and that deep sense of belonging. It wired our brains and bodies for safety and connection. And this is not old history. It's in our biology, coded for billions of years. In modern times, though, we chase independence like it's the goal. But really, what we need to do is to come back to interdependence. Healing starts when we remember that we are not separate. We are all nested together, in each other, and in the world around us together. Dr. Hammer's story is indeed bittersweet, tainted with the deepest pain and suffering that one could only imagine: the loss of his offspring, and eventually he lost his wife Sigrid to cancer and a heart attack. And it is not known whether his remaining children maintained a close relationship with him. The loss of a child is nature's gravest conflict, and it is this biological conflict that led to the discovery of the most tremendous body of work that is poised to change the paradigm of health. Aside from his son's death, the very founding of GHK led to a very difficult life and broken relationships. The university rejected his work and refused to evaluate his thesis, which was unbelievable because universities and clinics should be interested in such a discovery. Dr. Hammer had already opened several clinics pre-GHK in many countries, but here he was prevented by authorities to open more because of GHK. The District of Koblenz initiated action to stop him from practicing medicine. Too many conflicts were abound: losing his license, the death of Dirk, the death of his wife. He was imprisoned by French authorities due to being responsible for their deaths, and he had never even met them in person. He was exiled to Norway, where he would be safe to continue his work, but the Ministry of Justice never gave him the consideration he was looking for. He founded Sandefjord University, where he added the 5 biological laws of nature to his work, and to continue his legacy, he appointed 3 lecturers: Helmut Pilhar, Giovanna Conti, Andre Six, who is in her late 70s and caring for aging mother in France. Giovanna is one of our teachers in Pilhar Academy and very active. She is responsible for the discovery of the archaic melody in Dr. Hammer's song Mein Studentenmenschen, written in 1976, 5 years before GHK was discovered, and we will talk about that later in my talk. Helmut Pilhar and Dr. Hammer fought alongside each other following his case with his daughter Olivia. Dr. Hammer retreated to a private practice to continue the research with his wife, and Sigrid passed away from the relentless intimidation by the Royal Savoy family. In the end, Dr. Hammer passed away on July 2, 2017, at the age of 82, due to complications from a stroke 3 months before. Finally, a time to rest. Let's review what illness is according to the GHK and the 5 biological laws of nature. According to the first biological law of nature, biological conflicts are triggered when there are 4 criteria met. It is experienced as acute and highly dramatic, unexpected, isolated, and caught off guard. Now, if we reverse engineer the triggering of a biological conflict like cancer and other organ adaptations, we can see here, feeling isolated and caught off guard, this person feels all alone in this distressful event. This person is not supported by deep social bonds or perceives that they don't have the social connection or relationships that will bail them out of this dangerous situation. Precisely because we are coded to be nested in social constructs or communities that keep us safe or help us out of our dilemmas and problems, starting, of course, with the one that we were born into, our family. We belong to each other. We are responsible for helping each other feel safe. And if you look at how mammals like us evolved, we're literally wired to feel safe and thrive when we're connected to others. Think about it. Way back, reptiles were mostly solo survivors: freeze, flight, or flee on their own. But when mammals came along, something big changed in our nervous system. According to Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory, we developed this smart new branch of the social engagement system that lets us calm down quickly and connect socially. It's our social connection or social engagement system. When we pick up cues of safety, like a warm voice, eye contact, or gentle touch, our body shifts into this calm, open state. The heart rate steadies, the breathing deepens, and we can truly relax and bond with each other. That's why baby mammals, including human infants, need that close co-regulation with caregivers. It's built into our biology for survival and our growth. And if you watch animals grooming each other, huddling in groups, or just being close, it downregulates stress and signals, "You're safe with me." When there's real connection, It's not just a nice feeling, but it's how our bodies are designed to feel secure, to heal, and truly thrive. When we're isolated, that old defensive wiring kicks in more easily. But in safe relationships, that's where we come alive. The animal kingdom uses the same social engagement system to form even unexpected friendships. And they too have a vagus nerve and the same autonomic bladder as human beings. In 2013, a photographer in Finland captured an extraordinary bond between a lone gray wolf and a brown bear, two species not known to cooperate. And for 10 days, they hunted, fed, and rested together, forming an unlikely partnership in the wild. Wolves are social pack animals, while bears are typically solitary, making their connection a rare defiance of natural instincts. And all along the world, you'll actually see a lot of accounts where there are unlikely friendships. Some experts suggest that such interspecies bonds may form from the stress of social isolation, pointing to the deep biological need for connection. And this unusual friendship reminds us that even in the wild, mammals are wired to seek safety and companionship, often in the most unexpected places. Trees are highly social creatures. In his phenomenal book, The Hidden Life of Trees, Peter Voleben talks about maternal and cooperative behavior between and across species of trees. Plants use airborne volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, and underground fungal networks, or the wood wide web, to warn neighbors of pests or diseases, triggering defenses like producing toxins or attracting predators, showcasing sophisticated chemical signaling for collective survival through hormones and inducing systemic resistance. And this hidden language involves root fungal connections for resource or signal sharing and even ultrasonic clicks, revealing a collaborative defense system. When a plant, like a tomato plant, is attacked and damaged by a caterpillar, it releases VOCs into the air, including a key chemical called methyl jasmonate. And this acts as a distress signal or a chemical flare. Neighboring plants seem to eavesdrop nearby. So they're undamaged plants that detect this airborne chemical signal. They essentially smell it and respond by triggering their own defense mechanisms in advance of a potential attack. Now that we truly understand our evolutionary wiring, the deep drive to live in safe, supported, and warmly connected relationships, thanks to Germanic Healing Knowledge, we can finally see clearly. Most illnesses arise not by chance, but largely from broken or missing bonds. From moments when we felt profoundly isolated, abandoned, or alone in facing life shocks, without the relationships, the resources, or inner tools to resolve them. And these unresolved conflicts don't just hurt emotionally, they register in our biology as danger, triggering meaningful adaptive responses that we call SBSs, or in conventional speak, we call them disease or illness. Healing is all about restoring connection, first to ourselves, to others, and to the support we were always meant to have. And when we do, our bodies naturally return to balance. When I look at this slide, we can see that there were 510 women who felt separated or were undergoing a relationship nest worry dispute at home. 1.3 million felt isolated and caught off guard in the US for cancer diagnosis only. Men no longer felt masculine enough or they felt unneeded. That's prostate. Many people were afraid of death or afraid to lose territory. That's lung and bronchus. There was anger towards unjust accusation, greedy or corrupt people. That's colorectum. People felt attacked or defiled, and that's skin cancer. People felt less than or not worthy enough, and that's lymphoma. There are no boundaries or their territory is in danger. They're unable to mark their territory. That's urinary bladder. And a lot of people felt like they lost everything. They felt abandoned, rejected, isolated. They felt like a refugee. They were homeless or they were unloved, and they felt like a fish out of water. Renal pelvis is also a territory marking conflict. When I think about Bessel van der Kolk's The Body Keeps a Score, one of the parts that really hits home is how he talks about the adverse early childhood experiences study. This huge piece of research that laid it all out so clearly, showing that abuse or neglect in childhood isn't something kids just get over. It's actually the biggest preventable driver of mental illness down the road. Things like depression and anxiety, addictions, even schizophrenia in some cases. And it doesn't stop there because it spills over into the physical stuff too, like heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. And the reason it lingers like that is because trauma early on literally rewires a kid's developing brain, cranking up the amygdala so everything feels threatening all the time, messing with the prefrontal cortex that's supposed to help us stay calm and in control, flooding the system with stress hormones that keep the body stuck in this endless alert mode. So when a child grows up around constant fear or abandonment or violence, they don't just carry the emotional pain. Their whole nervous system gets tuned for survival in a world that never feels safe. And that tuning follows them into adulthood, showing up as all these struggles that we try to label and treat later. Vanderkolk says it so powerfully. Those early experiences imprint themselves on our mind, our brain, and our body in ways that can last a lifetime, unless we face them and find real ways to heal. But the hopeful part is that once we understand this, safe relationships and therapies that bring the body back into the picture can start to rewrite the story. And, whenever I think about this vision for families and communities, it just lights something up inside me, like this real hope that we can actually turn things around. Imagine us all leaning into real connection and healing, families where everyone thrives, where kids grow up feeling truly seen and held. Parents don't have to carry everything alone, and that warmth and strength gets passed down through the generations like this beautiful, unbreakable thread. And it all starts with understanding that these healing cycles we've been exploring, really getting how our bodies and hearts work through the hard stuff, and then surrounding each other with that steady support, the kind where we show up, listen without fixing, where we touch gently, we share our stories across the ages, we create these safe spaces where little ones can just be, where parents feel backed up instead of burned out, and elders are right there in the middle, cherished and sharing their wisdom. And it's not some distant dream. It's what we're built for deep down. And when we start living it, those small daily practices that deepen bonds and mend what's been broken, families turn into these vibrant, resilient circles full of laughter and real joy, passing on not the old wounds, but genuine strength and love that keeps growing. We were designed to nurture each other, not destroy each other. Of course, I would be remiss to talk about social connection and not explore the inspiration behind why Dr. Hammer called this work Germanische Heilkunde, or Germanic Healing Knowledge, and why it shouldn't be mistaken to mean that it is German. He is German, yes, but this is a far throw from the word Germanic. While studying in Tübingen, Dr. Hammer won a scholarship in India to study the ancient texts and spent 8 semesters studying Sanskrit. He also studied Latin and Greek works. He was very much into language. We need to respect Dr. Hammer fully, and why he chose to call it Germanic, because there is a connection with science and honoring the mythological lore that the Germanic tribes adhere to, who closely lived with and by the laws of nature. Dr. Hammer and the Germanic people identified with nature and the earth, and that is the roots, the feet with a past, and the heavens, the branches, our arms, our hands. This is the future, as seen in this Hagel rune. And this is the 7th rune behind the archaic melody and Dr. Hammer's song Mein Studentenmädchen, considered the second pillar of Germanische Heilkunde. It is the same as the symbol of his university, the crocus, to symbolize the man who belongs to nature, from his feet rooted in the earth to his arms reaching up to the cosmos. Germanic comes from the Proto-Germanic roots of the Germanic tribes, and Germans was a term by the Romans for people located north of the Roman Empire. In Gallic traditions, Ger means neighbors, Mani means men, and men here refers to men and women, and the Germanic tribes were biologically oriented and always in a dialogue with Mother Nature, of which plants and animals and all creatures are a part. In Latin, German could be seen as germ, meaning same blood or brother. We live in community and for community. Together there is a harmonious consciousness, and we kneel to no one. We live in harmony, presiding over all matters together as a community. and there is no king nor god that we kneel to. Dr. Hammer envisioned a world where we can live in strongly bonded, nested communities and families. The Proto-Germanic culture originated around 1800 BC, stemming from the tribes that migrated south from Scandinavia due to climate change. Women were respected, and marriage was taken seriously. The advice of women was considered wise, as warriors would often seek their counsel, and they were called seeresses. Agriculture, cattle raising, and hunting were the main sources of food. The Germanic people were less focused on art and wealth compared to the Celts. Germanic warriors were large, strong, and skilled in guerrilla tactics, often using psychological terror in battle. Dr. Hammer used to call Mainstudenten Menschen the Heilkunde of freedom. This beautiful healing song that echoed all the way back to the time of Odin, carried in the hearts of free people from every Germanic clan, reminding them that true health and knowledge belong to everyone, not locked away by kings or powers above. Nothing symbolizes freedom more than the Germanic thing, an assembly run by the warrior caste to decide on matters of war or peace and to pass judgment on crimes and punishments in the society. According to Dr. Hammer, freedom was the most treasured possession of his ancestors. They had no slaves. They didn't have to obey anyone. Dr. Hammer reflects on the freedom of ancient Germanic tribes who lived by their own laws within families and clans, contrasting it with modern society's lack of freedom due to privatization and financial interests. Indeed, having been incarcerated and tortured by modern society's laws, to Dr. Hammer, freedom is a prized possession, and it is his hope that his work and all the knowledge it contains will bring freedom and save millions of lives in the future. But here's the thing. They weren't unique in that many indigenous peoples around the world live the same way, in these tight-knit clans and communities where decisions came from consensus. Families and extended kin handle their own lands and conflicts, everyone looking out for each other against outsiders, thriving through real connection and shared responsibility, whether in the forests of Europe or the vast lands of the Americas and the mountain regions of the Philippines. Dr. Darshan Narvaez's kinship worldview reminds us that humans are evolved to thrive in cooperative, emotionally attuned communities rooted in care for all living beings. Reclaiming this ancestral way of living may be the key to restoring both our collective health and the future of humanity. Dr. Hammer indeed called Mainstudenten Menschen das Heilkunde of freedom because, at its heart, it frees us from the illnesses that come when our relationships break down, when we feel cut off, alone, or out of harmony with the people around us. It gives us this precious pause, this moment to step back instead of rushing into fear or treatments that might miss the real story. And in that space, we can actually save time, save energy, maybe even save a life by turning toward what really needs healing, those torn and distant bonds, to listen, to support one another again, so we can live in the kind of togetherness that we're truly meant for. That's the freedom he's talking about, not just from disease, but freedom to love and be loved fully and freely together. I wanted to conclude by quoting Dr. Hammer's words and his wish and legacy to humanity, that the magical song of Woden and the magical song of Mainstudenten Menschen completes the puzzle that humanity has been searching for. In the name of my patients, I offer utmost acknowledgement and respect before the sacred and divine Woden, the highest deity of the universe. The Germanic and Mainstudenten Menschen contain a biological system of freedom and human dignity, the great equalizer, in accordance with the code of our organism and our brain. Dr. Hammer envisioned a world where freedom from all forms of slavery, whether physical, mental, or emotional, could be the ultimate solution to the world's conflicts. Let us carry forward this legacy, realizing his dream in the crocus fields, where the spirit of the Germanic and their laws of freedom forever abide in the hearts of all humanity. We honor Dr. Rikke Gerd Hammer, the visionary behind Germanische Heilkunde, whose dream was a world free from the chains of illness and fear, the creation of Mainstudenten Menschen, the Heilkunde of freedom, and Germanische Heilkunde's second pillar. His legacy continues to guide us toward biological understanding and healing, rooted in nature's laws and the power of the human psyche. Together with our understanding of our nervous system and how we evolved to be in social connection, we know that the remedy for our ills and the way to prevent illness is to be nested in safe, supported, and collaborative relationships from womb to tomb. We also extend our heartfelt thanks to Giovanna Conti for her profound work, and along with Dr. Hammer, the discovery of the archaic melody, which resonates with the very essence of life and the laws of freedom that Dr. Hammer cherished. Today, we are really living in the most exciting time imaginable, right on the edge of something beautiful, where Dr. Hammer's discoveries can finally come into their own, not just as knowledge about the body, but as a doorway back to the relationships we're truly meant for. As the old ways, those isolated, disconnected structures, start to unravel around us, we're being given this incredible chance to step into a kin-centric worldview again, the one that our ancestors knew so well, like the Germanic tribes, the First Nations, the indigenous, endogenous communities that got life right for modern humanity and made survival of our species possible by living woven together with family, community, and all living beings in deep caring bonds that honor the natural wisdom running through every one of us. It's about reclaiming that freedom we've always carried in our biology, the freedom to heal through connection, to resolve conflicts, not alone, but held by others, to thrive in the kind of supportive, compassionate relationships that make us whole. Relationships are as old as time itself, but it is the new medicine that we should include in our healing tools. And now, as I look out at all of you, to the world, I feel this deep, quiet excitement bubbling up because we're standing right at the edge of something truly beautiful. Families just like yours have already found real hope and healing through Germanic Heilkunde. They've learned to walk through illness not with panic or helplessness, but with steady resilience, clear understanding, and gentle trust in the body's wisdom. They've turned fear into curiosity, isolation into connection, and tough moments into chances to grow closer together. And here's the most exciting part. This is only the beginning. When we truly grasp that our relationships are our medicine, that love, presence, listening, and belonging are the most powerful healing forces we have, then disconnection stops being the silent root of so much disease. We start choosing closeness on purpose, and we stop letting old hurts drift unspoken. We teach our children early that their voice matters, their feelings are safe, and they are never alone. Imagine the future that we're walking into. Kids growing up feeling deeply seen and held by their parents, so their nervous systems learn safety from the very start. Couples who know how to repair rifts quickly before resentment hardens into illness. Grandparents surrounded by love, passing down stories and strength instead of unresolved pain. Whole communities where people lean on each other naturally, where belonging is the norm and loneliness becomes rare. Let's keep going together. Let's make our relationships the first place we turn when life feels heavy. Let's remember that healing doesn't come from fighting disease or fighting nature itself. It comes from restoring the love and connection we were always meant to live in. The future is bright, resilient, and deeply relational. Because when we understand that our bonds are our medicine, we don't just heal ourselves, we heal everyone who comes after us. Thank you for being part of this awakening. Let's keep choosing love, keep choosing each other, and watch how beautifully everything changes. And of course, when I think about Dr. Rikke Gerdhammer, what touches me most deeply is the profound love that he had for his wife and his 4 young children, a love that shone brightly even through the darkest storms of his life. As a devoted father, his heart extended far beyond his own family to all of humanity, driven by a fierce desire to ease suffering and restore freedom in healing. Yet he endured unimaginable hardship, incarcerated, exiled, mistreated, and ostracized by institutions meant to protect and support, cut off from community, abandoned by systems, and even wary of friendships along the way. He faced profound isolation and rejection. Still, through GHK, he came to see these biological conflicts not as punishment, but as nature's way to help us survive, adapt, upgrade our thinking, and move forward stronger. A human heart can only bear so much betrayal and loneliness. But amidst it all, there was a precious time when Dr. Hammer was truly, deeply happy, wrapped in the joy of his wife and young children, that slice of heaven filled with unconditional love and connection. And perhaps that pure familial bliss is the greatest legacy of his work, the promise that GHK can bring such deep love and belonging to our children and our children's children, unlocking humanity's fullest potential for generations to come. Thank you, Dr. Hammer, for the greatest gift to all life everywhere from a father's boundless love. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to Global GHK for this month-long tribute to Dr. Hammer and Germanic Healing Knowledge. I do give consultations for GHK. You may reach me through eliabela.com or unlimited.ph. Also, my Facebook groups are Biohacking Philippines, and my other private group is Biohacking plus GHK Philippines. My IG handle is Coach Abela, and my regular IG is Biohacking Pioneer PH. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful 2026.